And I came back earlier from a run, and it was a beautiful run because it was raining outside. So it was a good respite from the sweltering heat that we normally have over here. And it was very enjoyable. The only thing was I was doing my Saturday speed workout, and um, it was very slippery. The ground was slippery. So today we want to talk about consistency. You see, some of you might say, okay, it's raining, we'll skip the workout. Or it's too hot, we'll skip the workout. Or I'm too hungry, we'll skip the workout. And that becomes an issue when you talk about consistency in working out. 10 years down the road, believe it or not, 20 years down the road, 30 years down the road, you might not have gone out to run at all or on any consistent basis, because every single time, when you make an excuse for today, you will repeat that excuse the next time or come up with a new one. So this is the issue about consistency. Some of us who have gone through track training in school or some sort of a sports club, tennis or squash or something, some sort of athletic club, we know the kind of discipline that is instilled in us by our coaches. So for example, if we are to finish a certain workout, we have to make sure we finish it. If you aim to complete 10 kilometers today, make sure you finish the 10 kilometers. Now, I'm not saying we don't listen to our bodies. I'm not saying that there are times when we're fatigued and we should know that that's when it's time to cut the workout short, or that we're on the brink of injury. Okay, we're too tight and we shouldn't be forcing the pace. I know there are times for that. In fact, we should always listen to our bodies, but we must instill the discipline in ourselves to be determined to finish the workout that we've planned for the day. So remember, even our school clubs, when our coaches said, okay, run and touch the tree and come back, even during PE class, you just had to do it. You can't say, oh, I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to cut it short. So dedication to being consistent is a very big part of improvement. I have friends whom, used to be athletes, and somehow, they've come up with one excuse after another. They're too busy, it's too hot, it's raining, they have this and that to do, and then they wonder why their fitness just disappears. 10, 20 years down the road, they haven't done a single serious workout. So discipline and dedication are very important to maintaining consistency. Now, I'll give you a brief guide I found in my personal experience. For every day that you lay off, it'll take you about 3 days to come back. Now, some people will say this is not a hard and fast rule, and that may be true, but I'm giving you that guideline because if you lay off a day and you try and come back within a day, so what's going to happen is that you risk either burning out or you risk getting injured. If you've laid off for 3 weeks and you try to make a comeback immediately or even within 3 weeks, you risk getting injured because you've lost. It takes 21 days to lose all your cardiovascular fitness gains. You're back to baseline level for your cardio. Okay, 21 days. I'm not saying that, if you started again, you wouldn't regain your fitness faster because, your mitochondria could still be there. The number of mitochondria in your muscles and your muscular strength could still be there. But if you lay off three weeks and you pushed it for the next 3 weeks, what's going to happen is that you're going to risk injury and you're going to risk burning out. Every time you're conditioned to feel pain when you work out, that's a condition. The conditioned response would be to avoid pain. And in future, you're not going to maintain any level of consistency because you didn't enjoy your workouts when you actually worked out. So that's very important that we have to program ourselves to enjoy the workouts. And the way to do that is to make sure we do it at a pace that is comfortable for us. So if you laid off for 3 weeks and now you're trying to get back into fitness, the same level previously before your layoff, over the next 3 weeks, that's too fast from my personal experience. So if you lay off for 1 day, you take 3 days to come back. If you lay off for 3 days, you're going to take another 9 days to come back. That's what's comfortable, okay? Because don't forget that maintaining fitness is very different from gaining fitness, because when you maintain, you only need to put in consistent effort. If you want to improve, you've got to always add that effort. It's got to be a little bit harder. So imagine now, if you're trying to get back fitness, it is the same as if you were trying to gain new fitness, because although you have some muscle memory, in that sense, neuromuscular memory, but in order to regain that fitness that was lost, you actually have to put in more effort. In other words, the stimulus has to be greater each time. So it's going to be harder and harder, and there's no respite, which is why you burn out, because you condition yourself to feel pain. And that means the workouts are not enjoyable. So what you want to do is to be able to come back gradually if you really had to lay off for some reason. But the best thing to do is not to lay off at all. So, like I said, one day, you take 3 days to come back. So 3 weeks, you're going to take another 9 weeks to come back. Otherwise, you just risk burning out. I know many of you will say, no, I can get it back. I can push myself. But at what cost? As I said, you push, you gain back the fitness. But what's going to happen 10, 20, 30 years down the road? You remember the pain, and you don't put in the same amount of effort anymore. So remember, consistency has to do with the determination and the dedication to complete your workouts, whether it's raining, whether it's hot, whether you're doing on the treadmill indoors, or whatever workout you're doing, you have to be consistent at doing them, at performing them and finishing them. That's very important. Even though you must at the same time listen to your body to see whether what you're doing is too little in intensity and volume or too much. And you may need to tune it down if it is too much. But the overarching goal is you must have dedication, and you must have this determination to finish the workouts that you've planned. If you planned a 10-kilometer workout today, make sure you finish it, or a 7-kilometer workout, make sure you finish it. And I know of people who constantly find excuses not to finish their workouts, right? They just pretend to be creative and do this and that, but in the end, they're not clocking the mileage that they want to clock, and they're not running as fast as they need to run for that workout that was planned. So, and it's okay if you're doing it like once in a blue moon, but I know people who do that on a consistent basis if you let them. I've actually coached people that way, and you let them off one time, the next time they'll do it again and again and again, and it becomes 100% of the time when they will make excuses and try to make the workout shorter or less intense. So make sure you understand this principle. Consistency is key. Don't let yourself off. Okay, don't let yourself off ever. All right, unless listening to your body, you know you need to reduce the volume and intensity for that particular workout. But make sure it is not a habit that you're developing. Okay, I'm learning to use this camera, but I'm glad I managed to record this for you, and I hope you have a good day ahead, and we'll catch up again soon.